Earlier this year, President Donald Trump signed a bill into law that would give $1,000 to every newborn in the United States. These are called Trump accounts. The money would be invested in the stock market by private firms, and the child would be able to access the account once they turn 18. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick proposed a similar state program earlier this month that would give every child born in Texas $1,000 that would be invested in the stock market. Patrick wants legislation for these accounts proposed in the next state legislative session, but would these accounts benefit parents and their kids? To break it down, we welcome Juan HernandezAriano, a local certified financial planner at OneSeven. Juan, welcome to Hello Houston. If you'd like to join the conversation, call or text us, 713-440-8870. Ernie, first question.
Okay, my first question is coming out of the gate, and I know we don't know everything about these yet, it's vague, but we have an idea. So what exactly, from what we understand, is the Trump account? How is it structured, and how does it differ from other savings programs that are already out there for parents?
That's a good question. So the main difference between what exists and what we have now is, pretty much everything's different, right? In a nutshell, these Trump accounts are retirement accounts for children. As simple as that.
Retirement accounts or college accounts?
Retirement account.
Look at them as a retirement account.
But you can access it at 18.
You can access it at 18. So there's two periods of the life of this account. There's the growth period, which happens from when the account is open until the child turns 18. Once the child turns 18, it turns into a traditional retirement account.
Oh, so you can't, can you access it at 18?
You can't.
So 59 and a half, or what's the age?
Correct. So in the growth period, which is, again, when the account is open until the age of 18, you can't access the money whatsoever. At 18, of course, the account is, of course, transferred to the child. The child can access the money. However, penalties will apply. And those penalties will go away after the age of 59 and a half, like any other IRA.
Well, if you leave it alone for 60 years, it'll turn into $2 or $3 million.
It depends on the interest and the risk and everything, but yeah, potentially.
Yeah.
But if it's an education account, as it's being sold as, between the time of getting that $1,000 and turning 18, realistically, how much is that $1,000 growing if you add nothing else to it?
If you add nothing else to it, if it's earning 7% interest rate, right, every 10 years is going to double, right? So the $1,000 is not going to turn into something massive. Some of the key points on the account and the reason why it was created is not only to give everyone $1,000, but to incentivize people to set money aside for their children.
So is it though? Let me just follow this. One last thing, then I'll stop talking for a minute. For just a minute.
Good luck.
Is this really though just a way to put a whole lot of money into the stock market? That it's actually being masked as a great thing for families, but it's actually for industry.
Professional opinion, there are other vehicles out there that could be a better fit for different people, right? This is not the best account for everyone, like any other account that exists out there. Mm-hmm. What is the biggest benefit of these accounts? What are the biggest benefits? The biggest benefits are it's the only vehicle that exists where the government or a charity like the Dell Foundation, which just announced it to, or the Texas government to put money for the benefit of people. That is it. There's no other investment account that allows for that. And that's really the main benefit. It doesn't really have a whole lot of tax benefits like a 529 would have, which is one of the alternatives. What is a 529? It's an account where you can set money aside for college. What is a tax benefit? The earnings are tax-free. This one doesn't quite have that.
So can parents add money to this $1,000?
Yeah.
So every year they could put another $1,000 in?
Correct. There are employers, other people can. Yeah.
There are 4 ways for money to go into these accounts. First one is through the government program, the $1,000 one time. It's not $1,000 a year. It's one time $1,000. Second, charities, state governments, or tribes, right, that they decide to contribute for the children. Again, one of the examples is the Dell Foundation. They came out and said, you know what, we're going to give $250 to every child that doesn't qualify for the $1,000, right? The third way to contribute to this account is through employer contributions. They can contribute up to $2,500, index for inflation, every year. And the last bucket that can feed into these accounts is going to be parent contributions, grandparent contributions, or pretty much anyone.
Is there a max?
$5,000 a year, index for inflation. But if an employer contributed $2,500 to that account, that does count against the $5,000.
So, Juan, just from listening to this, and if the government's encouraging financial literacy, who truly benefits from that? For example, people that already have accounts and understand banking versus somebody who maybe never has ever had a bank account.
The benefit for this is really to the children. That is it. And there's a misconception within these Trump accounts. When do children typically need the money to go to college, right? Typically at the age of 18, which is the reason why this account kind of unlocks at the age of 18. It turns into an IRA, into a retirement account. But it's not like it's a retirement account that can be used for college. Any IRA you can take money out of an IRA without penalty if the money is used for qualified education expenses. So what's the added benefit? Well, you can accomplish the same with a regular IRA. You can accomplish the same thing with a Roth IRA. You can accomplish the same with a brokerage account. Arguably, benefits from a tax standpoint may be better. So who is it benefiting? Mainly the children that are getting free money from the government, the federal government, potentially the state government, and potentially charities like the Dale Foundation.
If I'm hearing you correctly, then, if I'm going to add to this account for my child or for my grandchild, it would make more sense to add to a different type of account than to be putting it into this account, because there's no real benefit by loading this money on top of that money if I can get different, better benefits in other accounts.
Well, if it goes in the stock market, it might be a better benefit than a money market.
It depends on the risk, right? So there's different, again, this account is a good account, but it's not the best one for everyone. If you want the money to be relatively accessible in case there's an emergency, well, you don't have access to this money until the child turns 18, right? So if your main concern is liquidity, and of course you want to leave some money to your children, then you may be better off with just a regular brokerage account. If your benefit is just to really force yourself into not touching it whatsoever, well, then this becomes really appealing. From an investment standpoint, I do like a couple of provisions that the government came up with. It really restricts the investments you can put the money in. Typically a few categories. The first one is you have to put the money into a mutual fund or an ETF, which is just similar to mutual funds. And it has to track primarily U.S. stocks. That's the first one. The second thing is it is an investment that cannot charge any more than 0.1% of the total of the fund per year, which is pretty economical.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yeah.
Considering a lot of accounts charge you 1%.
Correct.
So 0.1 is very good. So make this distinction. The Trump accounts go into the stock market.
Correct.
By private firms. So if you have that benefit, do you also get maybe the Texas $1,000 that Dan Patrick's proposing?
If it goes through, right?
So you get $2,000.
You get $2,000 potentially.
So do you think that Dan Patrick is doing, really he wants it to go into the new Texas C Y'all Street account?
Yeah, potentially. Yeah, I mean, again, this is going to really help people. And yes, if someone puts in $1,000, of course, the goal of Texas is just to match the $1,000 with another $1,000 for a total of $2,000 for these people.
But it also starts to beef up the Texas Wall Street that we all hear about.
Definitely.
Yes.
Definitely.
We did receive an off-air question. This person asks, I want to know if the accounts can be turned into special purpose vehicles and be traded as financial instruments. This was Mike from Cyprus.
No. The investments you can put them in are, granted, what we all read a couple of weeks ago was a notice from the IRS, and it's just implementation recommendations, right? Nothing is final. Things can change. But the way things stand right now, it doesn't seem like you can invest in something outside of just mutual funds or ETFs that track one of the primary stock market indices.
We're talking to Juan HernandezAriano, a financial planner from OneSeven. If you would like to join this conversation, 713-440-8870. All right, so you're a financial planner. Good idea or bad idea? If you had the ear of the president.
Yeah.
For a consumer, it may be a good idea. Again, you're getting free money from the government. That's amazing. It doesn't get any better than that, right?
That never happens.
Correct. That never happens.
And it's never really free.
You have to ask, is the president just feeling generous?
Yeah. Is there a Trojan horse in here we need to know about?
I mean, you wonder if this is happening because, of course, elections are happening in less than a year from now, right? I don't know. Again, bottom line for consumers, is this a good idea? Definitely. Government sending out some money, just go ahead and take it. It's going to hand out the money anyway.
Yeah. Now, this may be a little off your area of expertise, but I'm concerned, does this then take the shift and the focus away from the cost of higher education by saying instead of approaching that and looking at that, we're going to give you all $1,000 to help with it.
Yeah, it doesn't even address it whatsoever. However, once again, these Trump accounts were a provision of the One Bill Beautiful Act. Mm-hmm. There was something else within that act that did address the cost of college, which is kind of embedded and is how much parents can go into debt for their children. Mm-hmm. In the past, me as a parent, granted my children are 5 and 3, so we have a long way to go, but I could go into debt for my children to pay for education without any credit study, without any credit underwriting. Of course, I just want to make sure that I have not had any bankruptcy or that my credit is somewhat decent. But I can literally go into any debt I want, 6 digits, a whole new mortgage, and just fund my children's education that way. Why did college keep rising their prices? Because, of course, there was the demand to pay for college. There was the money, not from their parents, but from banks, of course, funding education. So what this One Bill Beautiful Act did is it capped how much parents could go into debt for their children. What is that going to do? It's going to curb, more than likely, college inflation.
Oh, well,
I guess
hopefully.
when I look at this, though, I do wonder if somebody who has never had an adult that has a child that's never had a bank account, if they would actually go in and make a bank account for their child in order to get this.
The way things stand right now, you do not need a bank account to have one of these.
Okay.
What do you have to have?
I mean, Social Security number.
So it's for only
Social
it's only
Security
American
number.
citizens.
So not a bank account, but you have to have a Social Security number.
Which means you have to have a mother or father who's an American citizen.
Correct.
So that you're an American citizen.
Correct.
Wait, what about birthright citizenship?
If you have a Social Security number, regardless of your birthright citizenship, regardless of your status, if you are legal in the United States, if you have a Social Security number, then you can apply for the account. Now, there's 2 different things in this answer. One thing is opening the account. The other thing is getting the 1,000 credit for the government. The requirements are different from both of them.
Okay, define.
So in order for you to be eligible for an account, again, any child under the age of 18 with a Social Security number, that's it. In order to qualify for the $1,000, you have to be eligible for an account. So you have to have an existing Trump account, but also be born between January 1st of 2025 and December 31st of 2028.
His term.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. Which means I have a 5-year-old, I have a 3-year-old.
You're
They
good
would
to
not
go.
qualify for that.
Oh, they
would not
don't.
qualify for that.
Because they
Your
were
next
born.
kid,
correct.
Your
My
next
kids
kid
won't
does.
either.
Your 0 kid
So you got to
does.
have another one. There you go. You qualify.
TBD with my wife. We're barely trying to keep up our 2
Do
alive.
you worry this creates a false sense of security for parents, thinking, wow, we've got this money now, we're in good shape?
Yes, it does. It
We have
does.
a call, by the way. Patrick from Southeast Houston. Patrick, what's your call? What's your question or comment?
Well, I don't think that it doesn't seem very beneficial. And I think the problem that I have with it is that they're wrapping in this conversation about the benefit of the child from the education point of view 18, 19, 20 years from now. And I guess I just wonder, wouldn't increasing the FAFSA be more beneficial for children right now for their parents, or increasing the amount of a tax exemption for children be more beneficial to the family or to the child?
We're going to stop you there, Patrick, because our guest's head is bobbing so much on this one.
Definitely. I wish this addressed the underlying issue in a more direct way than it does. To me, this account, it's not, again, they don't even, once you read the IRS notice, it doesn't even talk about college whatsoever. It just pushes out, markets and advertises the $1,000 then that children can get. But you're right. Wouldn't it be more beneficial for students to rework FAFSA? It was reworked a couple of years ago for the benefit of people, so it was a great work reworking. But yeah, definitely improving the FAFSA, making FAFSA a lot simpler to fill out, making the student aid index, which is how much it determines, or the number that determines how much you're going to get in financial aid, expanding the allowance, definitely, that would help tremendously. However, even though they didn't address that directly, the biggest underlying issue is the cost of college, which again, even though it wasn't addressed directly, again, the provision of how much money you can go into debt to pay for college will help indirectly the conversation.
So, Juan, as a parent of a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old, what advice would you give to parents looking at down the road the cost of college?
Not have another one.
Touche.
Yeah, definitely. Start planning. We are guilty again. 5-year-old, 3-year-old. So we're in the same boat, almost the same boat.
Yeah.
I'm just potty training a little bit more, but it's closer than we think, and it comes by faster than we think.
Yeah.
And the only way for you to afford a 6-digit education that will be 6-digit if your child goes to at least 4 years worth of state school in state, it's to start planning now from 2 standpoints. Financially, how much do you need to set aside to be in good shape, first and foremost? And secondly, start preparing your children around that conversation. Granted, it's kind of hard to do with a 3-year-old, with a 5-year-old, but I do believe the 9-year-old understands a little bit better. Start planting the seed of, well, you're doing all this school situation so you can go into college and become someone bigger. And it's a big responsibility, so let's start working now to start taking it seriously.
Because not everybody can play football.
Correct, yeah. Not me, definitely.
Juan HernandezAriano is a local certified financial planner at OneSeven. Juan, thank you so much for joining us on Hello Houston.
Yep.